So let's get going. Hello,
Yeah,
everyone, and welcome to another episode of Monster School. I am Jack the Monster King, and this is.
Mama Ducks.
And today we are talking about my favorite genre in horror, period, which is slashers. Now, if you're not familiar with slashers, you can definitely you know what they are when you see them. It's basically knives, killing people, like Freddy, Jason, Michael, Chucky, all of them. Those are all slashers. That's the
Not
slasher genre.
necessarily just knives, though.
Right, right. Like you
You
can
can
use
do a
your
lot of
like
things.
hands,
As long as
like
there's some form of stabbing
what
of
is
some
it?
sort.
Hello, Shadow Wolf. Welcome in.
Hi, Shadow.
Um, right. Like Hannibal Lecter, I consider a slasher because he goes
Oh
around.
shit! I wish you told me
Yeah,
that.
I know.
I
Not gonna
went
lie.
with psychological thriller on that one because that's a big fave for me too.
As I was coming down the stairs in the garage, it took me forever to set this up, and it was like last minute. I was like, "Shit, Hannibal Lecter," because I love Hannibal Rising. Hannibal Rising and
Yeah.
Hannibal are like my two favorite. But whatever, maybe we can change it on the
Dang,
fly.
we're gonna have to do another show on this one too then.
I know. We'll put him in psychological horror because he can
Yes.
fit in there too.
Yes.
So
He's
I
like the god of psychological horror though, so
right,
that
he
works.
really is. Like talk
He
about
is.
like he takes an we should save this, but he takes an innocent mind, Clarice Sterling, and just by using words, like the
Yes.
inmate next to him, where just
Breaker.
by using words he makes him swallow his tongue. Like that's insane. That's
Yeah.
it's phenomenal. Um oh yeah, Chase loves Ghostface. Ghostface is a slasher too.
Yes, that's my favorite too.
I made fun of him a little while back, which I ended up
I'm
apologizing
hoping
for.
I can persuade you to have a little bit more respect for Ghostface by the end of this show.
Okay, I
I've
do,
got some
just to let
goodies.
you know, because I didn't like it because he was immortal. He was just immortal in a suit. But then the idea of making him immortal is the different people that portray him.
Right.
That's immortality, which in itself
Yeah.
is a human element, but it makes it supernatural, which is
Right.
cool, which has never
Yes.
been done before.
Right.
So, I asked you, and I did one too. I think yours is going to be better because you seemed like very into it the way you were talking about it. To create your own slasher killer.
Okay.
Describe this killer to me.
All right. So my inspiration came from the Countess. That a lot of people mistook her for being related to Count Dracula,
Hmm.
Vlad the Impaler, but no, they were not related. So Elizabeth Bathory was the most famous serial killer for a female. She took out a lot of people, and her little thing, her specific thing was bathing in the blood of virgins to keep her youth. So I went with that, and I decided I want to
Could I
roll with
pause you
that
for
one.
1 sec?
Yeah.
Do you think that was the inspiration in Hostel 2 with the bloodbath?
Oh, could have been.
Okay,
It
continue.
could have
Sorry,
been.
I just popped in my head. Ugh, cringe scene.
So this one, she's kind of out for vengeance because our society has, such a love for Count Dracula, and we
Hmm.
boost him up, but you never hear of her. So she's got some revenge. She's fed up with that motherfucker, and she's about to take the title. So what she does is she lures her little lovely virgins by
The way you say
vampire
lovely
fan
virgins.
fiction. And she invites them, oh, this is, where Count Dracula stays. So they all run in like little fangirls. Oh my God. And then, kind of similar to Hellraiser, there's like these hooky things that come out.
Okay.
And she's got a sphere, but it's a spherical cyclone tipped. So when she stabs them, the blood runs all the way down with constant flow, and it detaches, and the blood will continue running without running into a clotting issue. So
Hmm.
she gets every last drop. Not one is wasted. And when she's done with them and done with her bath, she removes their canines as a fuck you to Vlad.
I like it.
Yes. I had a whole outfit planned too, but I didn't have time to doodle it up.
So, so this is the thing. Did you create one though?
Well, she's not actually Elizabeth, obviously.
Oh, so you
But
just said okay. You
she's coming
combine
with
two
a
stories. You
vengeance.
combine the real
Yes.
one and your own.
I took the two
I didn't
stories
see the
and I made one
transition.
out of it.
I was like,
Because I'm sorry, it's current age, so she's getting all these little, fangirls. That's how she's getting her victims to come and check out this castle because they think it's got something to do with Vlad, but in the end, they're just
it's not.
getting wrecked.
I like it. I like how you enjoy it so much. Getting
I
wrecked.
got way too into it. I was like, I need to calm down.
All right, I'm signing into Google Docs right now. Mine's not as good as yours. Mine's very what's the word? It's like a
They need to come out with a movie that gives her some more respect, though. Like, for real.
It is weird they glance over her so much. She is a strong character.
Yes, she is.
And did you know Vlad the Impaler? Not even Dracula.
Yeah.
Like I was reading
Dracula
about
was just well, because it's because son of, right? Or
Right.
some shit like that. I don't
No, you
want to
got
fuck
it.
it up, but yeah, it's yeah.
Why
And the
can't
only
I-
reason he got that reputation is because supposedly he dipped like his food in the blood of his enemies, which I'm not saying isn't badass. That's pretty dope,
It's pretty hot.
but not as cool as bathing in blood. Come on.
I was gonna say. Do you think?
Or-
Do you think there's somebody out there that does that?
Oh, dude, come on. Of course.
Okay. Boy.
Somewhere far, far away from other people to hear the screams. No.
You and that psycho noise. All right, it's gonna break the illusion, but I guess I gotta bring it up here because I don't like the fact that like Discord shows when I move stuff around. But
Oh yeah.
let's Actually, it's pretty good now. All right, 2 seconds. Mine's fun. Mine's very. I
Okay.
kind of inspired it after like the slasher killers we have today.
Okay.
Hopefully, it's in here because it was really good. I was typing it at work, so I seemed like a psychopath when I was doing it. All right, Monster School. Yes, there it is. All right. So my character's name is Candy Hart. She's super sweet. She has a colorful dress, and she runs a candy shop. And what she does on the side, as you've seen in films before, she basically brands men who have wronged women by scorching them with the physical bottom of her candy cane. So it's an actual cane that looks like that, right? So she marks them. Then she integrates the names of the men she has branded on the packaging of the candy she sells at her shop.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
That's
Candy
good.
will sometimes take the blood of her victims and create her own custom hair dye for herself. That's where she gets her colorful hair from. Because it's bright red the entire show, and you don't get it till the end, and it's dye from the blood.
I love it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Very fun.
I was smiling. I think yours is better, but mine's very tongue in cheek. Where it's
I'm always gonna go with a like fucked up historical sense because I feel like everything's a lot more scary when you find out it comes off of something that actually happened. Like if it's like real life shit, you're like, oh.
Right.
So that's what I do.
Nice. So the first franchise we're going to talk about is my personal favorite of all time. It's what's decorated all around me right now. I got his glove right here, all that fun stuff. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. The first movie, in my opinion, was groundbreaking. It kind of inspired a whole generation of horror. Not as strong as what Halloween did with John Carpenter, but I like the idea that this is the first killer where it's like he's just having fun. And he's in your dreams, and he has this cool swagger lean about him, and he has the fedora, and he's dressed up like Christmas for some reason. And the whole storyline of basically parents killed him for him in the original harming their children, as opposed to the remake where I believe he was a molester.
You know, I could have sworn I read that even in the original script, it was meant to be insinuated that he was a pedophile.
Right. But this one, they're like, let's just make it so he's like a killer, which I'm totally fine with.
Yeah, tone it down a bit,
like,
guys.
that's fine
Thank
for me.
you.
And then he basically goes and gets burned alive, going to the dreams, and he's coming back to, kill the ancestors of the ones who wronged him or whatever.
Which, still. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not the strongest, but visually for the first film, it blows my mind. Like when Tina is being lifted up above the bed, and you know it's wire work, you know it's reversed, but you look at it and it's almost flawless, where you're like, I don't even know how for the time they took away those wires. Like it looks so good.
They pulled off some amazing shit for sure.
Yeah, it's just a Rolodex of just fun in terms of like special effects, etc. Freddy Returns. I liked Freddy Returns, ironically, a lot. In high school, I liked it a lot more than the original. But then
Wow, really?
then I grew out of it because as you
Okay.
start to rewatch it, you realize there are a lot of gay undertones for no reason in this film, in terms of like him whipping the
And he
kid in the
talked too
shower.
much. I felt like it
Yeah,
took away his creepiness. He just talked too much. Like
that's
he's
the thing.
supposed to
They
be that
added
like
a bit
silent,
more
creepy ass killer.
humor to Freddy
Right. And it
Returns,
was
where
like,
you're
oh,
like,
you guys botched
I like
it.
the slight lines where it's like, I'm your
Like
boyfriend now,
visually,
Nancy.
wonderful. But as far
Right.
as dialect, they kind of.
My favorite part in that entire movie that I always took away was the end where he exposes himself to everyone in the pool, and he's like every street. I don't know if this is the line from that one or Dream Master, but like every city has an Elm Street now, or something. Where it's like he made himself known, like he
He's like,
made
yeah,
it
I'm
so
famous,
everyone.
bitch. I'm kind of a
Right.
big deal.
Then after that, I don't really remember the order. I think it's Dream Warriors, which was basically like I don't know why they really did it. It's a horror movie, but it's kind of like an 80s popcorn teen movie where it's like,
Yeah.
I want to see Freddy do that. It's very teenager oriented. It's not your adult
Right.
Freddy, it's teenager Freddy. Dream Child, I thought was good just because of the background of what Freddy is in terms of it's kind of like what we talked about last episode with vampires, where they take something angelic and
Yeah.
demonic. His mother, big surprise, is a nun. His
I
father
know.
is literally 1,000
nuts.
inmates that raped her in the actual like asylum, and that produced
And that's
Freddy.
it, like born of hatred.
Right.
Right,
Is
like
the film great? No, but I like that dynamic. Dream Master, I really don't even remember, to be honest. I know it has a cool
yeah,
soundtrack.
I can't even help you there.
And then the last one, Freddy's Dead. I thought that was fun. That's the 3D one. I always wear my 3D glasses that came in the DVD case when I
Oh
watch
my
it. I'm
god,
like,
that's great.
it's so fun. Like the fact that they touch upon the lore a bit more, where it's like there's these things, these entities that gave Freddy his power in the
Yeah.
in the afterlife, which I thought was fun. It's just like I like a little bit more, but not too much. And then lastly, the remake Nightmare on Elm Street. I remember senior year, I saw the trailer, and I have never been more excited for anything in my life. Like I just got goosebumps, like on my body.
Aww.
I saw the trailer. What's his name? Jackie Earl Haley is playing Freddy Krueger, who was in Watchmen. Who I
Okay.
absolutely loved. Right, like he had that voice. And
Yeah.
when he dropped a line in a trailer where I was like, "There's no way this isn't gonna make it to the Oscars or something," he said, he was like, the way he said it.
Have any?
Silence of the
Really?
Lambs is the only.
Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense though.
He said, "Why you screaming? I haven't even cut you yet." And I was like, "Oh, what a good line!" Like I got excited.
That is a good line.
Right. And then unfortunately, I went to the theater. I sat down. I watched it. Nobody in this. The problem with it is, it starts off with all the kids in a diner almost. Nobody's happy. Nobody's happy. Not one character is happy. That's the flaw immediately, because you have nobody to root
You're
for.
supposed to like steal
Right.
the happiness.
They're in a
It's
very
like-
depressed atmosphere. Freddy shows up, and they started stealing lines from the original Nightmare on Elm Street series. When I wanted to hear new lines, like the claw line I heard in the trailer. Then they exposed that Freddy was a gardener at an elementary school, and I was like, "Why'd you make him a gardener?" Like, it's funny. I got upset about that as
I'm
opposed
so
to him.
glad I didn't. I don't recall that movie at
It's
all.
Rooney
and I would have
Mara.
been
Rooney
livid.
Mara's in it. There's a lot of like grade A actors in it, but it's just not
Wow.
good. There's a couple moments that are
How
okay.
are you gonna literally like reuse the freaking script and yet still miss it so bad? Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was aggravating. There's moments I like again, but they just butcher it in so many ways. The only thing I like is I love his voice almost. Actually, you know what? I think I like it more than Robert Englund's, because it's like that draw, like somebody's coming
Yeah,
to
I can
get
agree
you.
with that.
Like, and I was like, ooh, it's good. So,
Yeah.
what are your feelings on the series?
It's good. I mean, like,
I remember
if,
my heart.
okay,
My
so
heart. I'm very
Freddy,
sensitive.
yes,
So-
no, Freddy actually played a big role in my horror, like, upcoming. Because, like, not a time to be a whiny butt. No.
He's like,
um,
okay.
the idea that someone could come at me in my nightmares, like, really fucked with me, because I always suffered from nightmares and night
Mhm.
terrors. Like, I didn't really have dreams. Normal kids had dreams that were like, oh, I'm flying. Not me.
Right. You had a
So, like, the
paralysis
idea
demon.
that someone else was in control of it, I was like, wait, is that what's happening? You know, like, it
Right.
fucked with my little child brain a little bit. And because of that, I love it. Like it definitely it wasn't one of my like, oh my god, I gotta watch this movies,
Right.
but it definitely played a big role in influence and fear of horror. Like they nailed it. They did. And I appreciate when other movies kind of like Easter egg it in their own. Like a lot of horror movies will continue to have something visual that kind of is like, yo, what's up, Freddy? You know,
Right.
like
Right.
so it's cool because it was a huge influence in the horror industry.
Yeah. Like the most used one is like not as much as the Shining girls, obviously, but the girls doing
Oh
jump
my
rope.
god.
Like you always see them in the background somewhere in a movie
Yeah.
where it's like they're just going. Next, I'm gonna have you lead off.
Okay.
Um, the Halloween franchise.
Halloween. Okay.
Do you want to do a different one?
Well,
You can do a different one. I have other ones you could choose
I'll
from.
be honest. I preferred like the originals. So like I didn't get
I
really
didn't
carried
even.
away with
I
all
refuse to
of the
watch
remakes and
I
stuff.
haven't seen the zombies. I only know the
I
originals.
saw one of his, and it was all right. You know, like it was kind of cool that he covered like the whole insane asylum bit where that's where he was. Like the gap
Oh, you're not. Are
kind
you
of
talking about
explained the gap.
zombies or the most recent ones?
Zombies.
Okay, yeah. No, I
I
didn't
don't
watch
know
those
shit
because I
about the
remember.
most recent ones.
Again, I was in high school and somebody said like, "Oh yeah, Michael Myers' mom is a stripper," and I was like, "Well, first of all, it's like he's supposed to be a deity of evil. He's supposed to be evil
Right.
incarnate, not even a man, just evil
Yeah,
incarnate.
wasn't
So
it
why are
like
you humanizing
in
him?"
the OG? He
Right.
just was a
He was
he was
just
a little
evil
shit.
incarnate. He
Like
was the
as a
shadow.
child, he murdered his sister. Like
Right. That's the
so,
thing.
the mom had nothing to do with
Right.
little.
And apparently they
I
show him
mean,
getting bullied as a kid, and I'm like, you don't do this with you don't show him that. Don't make it that intimate with me. Like I don't want to know this much about. I don't want to see Freddy growing up as a kid. It takes away the illusion of Freddy.
okay.
Think about it. Has there ever been a
Well, I mean
serial
that
killer
makes sense
where
because
you?
in Freddy's storyline, you don't cover his childhood at all. He's not a young character. He's grown. He's
Right.
But you got Friday 13th where
But they don't cover his childhood.
child
He drowns in the first like 2 minutes. You
because
never
they were
stretch back to
bullying
right.
him
But I'm saying
and
like
they.
you don't follow, like don't the
Mhm.
way my friend presented it was in Halloween, they literally show his childhood
Okay.
as
Okay,
if it's
so
a
we just kind of
story.
get like the gist
Right.
of the
The original
storyline rather
Halloween,
than
it's an
seeing
evil
it.
act followed
Okay.
by
Okay.
evil. So you're like, I'm afraid of whoever this is. We know who this is in the
Right.
remake, and we know his mother's an exotic dancer. So it's like, and
Word.
plus Sherry Moon
And how
Zombie.
about that bullshit? Are you trying to say like if your mom is doing what she got to do to make that money, it's gonna make you a fucking serial killer? It's kind of bullshit.
Right? I think
Like
so too.
honestly though, like
But no,
I
you
see.
gotta agree. Like the original,
Yeah,
it's the pinnacle.
best.
Like it's up
Yes,
there with
best.
The Exorcist in terms of like talk about
Yes.
like a dream for like John Carpenter, where it's like no money, nothing. It's like an up and
Yes.
coming director with scraps for a movie, and you put together
Very
literally.
minimal to work with. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other ones, I mean, they're all right. They kind of continue the franchise. I know Season of the Witch doesn't even have them in it, and Halloween H2O features Busta Rhymes, and like it goes a little
Sorry. It's just
offhand.
like they're
Yeah,
like literally who can we get?
yeah. But as the original Halloween, it's groundbreaking. I love the
The
idea that like the
OG.
psychiatrist is after him. It's not a
Mhm.
cop. It's
Mhm.
not the
Yeah.
girl that
He's like, I
survived.
see you,
Right.
and I'm
I
coming
get
for
you,
you.
Michael.
No one
Right.
else knows, but I do.
And then you get into what's the woman he's after? Jamie Lee.
Yeah, his sister. No.
Yeah. But sister.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they're sister,
sister.
right?
Yeah,
Or something like that.
I think so.
Have
No,
you
wait,
seen the
no,
most?
wait.
No, it's not.
It's not his. He kills his sister in the
Right.
first one. Who the fuck is Jamie Lee? It's not his mom, right? Is it
No.
his mom?
No. It's
How
his
are we
knee.
fucking this up right now, bro?
I'll look it up.
No, you're right. I think. No, wait. How is it?
I'll
his
look it
niece?
up. Michael Myers.
We're professionals.
Right? We're very good at this. This is our school and we're teaching. Related to Lori. It is. Let's see. How is Laurie Strode related to Michael Myers? There it is. Oh, it's his sister.
Did he have two sisters?
I guess he had two sisters, yeah.
Why don't I remember that?
You know what? Did he kill the babysitter?
No, he killed his sister.
In
Because she
Halloween
was like
2, it's
fucking around with
revealed
her
that
man and
Laurie
he
is
wanted to go
Michael
trick or
Myers'
treating.
sister. However, David Gordon Green and his fellow writers decanonized all the sequels and made a Halloween a direct sequel to... No, so it is his sister. It's his sister.
So then who does he kill in the first one?
Please hold.
I'm so confused right now. I think we've just watched too many horror movies. Now they're all just
They're all
blending together.
blending. Who does Michael Myers kill in the first Halloween? I feel like there's a shorter way to type that.
Probably.
His sister. At the beginning of Halloween, a 6-year-old Michael murders his teenage sister Judith. Okay.
Well, that feels very biblical, but I ain't.
So I guess Laurie Strode is the surviving sister or something, right?
Why don't I remember another sister?
It does seem weird. Like, where was she?
Did his mom have another kid while he was locked up, maybe? Because she was younger than him, right? No.
Laurie was born 2 years before Michael was committed.
Holy
so
shit.
It's after the... she was born after.
That just made this so much better.
Yeah, right?
Okay. I'm going to have to rewatch it now that I know that.
Hi, Nicole. She's from the... Nicole, Mess in the Kitchen from the Christmas show.
Hi.
How's it going? Yeah. So no. Okay. So Halloween. Did you see the most recent ones, like Halloween Kills and all those? They're awful. Don't watch them.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. There's literally a moment.
I listen very strongly to reviews of especially my age group, so I know whether I want to even like do it.
It's bad. There's a moment
the
where
only one that's killing me right now. So no spoilers for anybody who has seen it, but I haven't seen Scream yet, and it's hurting my soul.
Me and Chase are going to see it tomorrow, I believe.
Maybe I'll try to go tomorrow with a homie. Like, yo, take me to the movies.
Yeah, because I'm trying to stay off TikTok too, because there's spoilers like crazy.
Yeah, and like I'm part of a couple like horror groups on Facebook, and I'm like, no. I'm like staying clear of Facebook now because those fuckers will just.
Yeah, just spoil everything.
Don't do it. I need to know.
Yeah, but I think I told you this in chat before, where it's like there's a moment in the new Halloween Kills or whatever. They're chasing a guy that's like 4 feet, 5 feet tall, and they're like, it's Michael, because he has a prison outfit on, and you're like, it is so clearly not Michael.
Yeah.
All right, the next series was my original favorite series over Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ooh, okay.
And that's Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I love that.
It's so good.
So good.
Friday 13th. You know what? I'll stay away from spoilers. Why not? Like, there might be some people out there that haven't seen. You know what? No, spoilers. This movie's old enough.
Yeah, it's hella old.
Right? It basically starts with a kid who's, I guess, mentally... I don't know.
He was born with disabilities, and it also made his head larger, and he was a little deformed as well as slow, and that's why they picked on him and why he drowned. Well, drowned.
Yep. And the reason he drowned is because the camp counselors weren't paying attention to him. They were
only paying attention to what was going on. And they know what I mean.
But
doing that thing you're not supposed to do in horror movies, getting that booty.
So, spoiler alert: the mother shows up, and basically slaughters all the counselors, and everybody watching the movie is led to believe it's like adult Jason or something, like seeking revenge.
Right.
It's his mother who is.
Mama comes in like.
Yep. You kill my son, I want revenge. Yep. So the lead counselor decapitates her in front of the lake, and it's implied that Jason can see this from the lake because he's supernatural at this point. So that leads to basically Jason being reborn, and he spawns in the second and third with a potato sack, and then he finds a hockey mask, and that's the look everybody knows.
Well, they rip off his sack that he wears, and that's why he switched to the hockey mask.
Right. He grabs it from the prankster, the guy that kept playing like pranks and everything. They're like, would you just stop it? And he's like, this is all I know how to do because I'm overweight. Like... but yeah, it's cool because like then when you see the mask, you're like, oh, that's Jason. Even for people that are like, you know, they know the name.
Even though they change the mask constantly throughout the fucking series, which it's
aggravating.
That upsets me so much.
And then
But did you know Camp Crystal Lake is in Jersey?
I do. I was gonna take a
Yeah.
tour. I live so close to Stephen King's house, and I haven't been there yet, but I want to go so bad. Oh, and
I just like, can we talk about stuff?
yeah, no, spoiler alert. Next week we're doing Stephen King movies.
Okay.
Right,
Ooh.
right. Um, but no, and then after that is my favorite Friday 13th of all time, which is part 7, I believe, which is the girl with telekinesis. Like, it doesn't really make sense. Right, it
Okay.
doesn't really make sense.
I didn't
Like, but
expect that, but
I love the idea that, like, Jason is the first time Jason's paired against somebody that's supernatural as well. Because
okay.
it's like, if Jason can be supernatural,
It is
other people can be
OP. Like,
supernatural. Right.
right.
So I like it when they fight, and I think she's the first one to ever like reveal his face by like stretching it so much it goes like it pops off his mask, and you see
Yeah.
like that crimson
Yeah.
face. But yeah, that's my favorite. I love all their fight scenes. Then after that, I don't really remember. Jason Goes to Hell is awful.
Yeah, no.
Jason
Well, then
Lives
there's
is awful.
Jason versus Freddy.
What did you think of
Which
that? Because that'll be our tie-in. Actually, before we get to that, the Friday the 13th remake. How did you feel about that?
I didn't love it. I'm sorry.
Okay, I hated it.
But
That's my thing.
Anytime that there's a remake, you should probably know I'm almost always going to side with the OG.
That's the
You
thing.
just can't fuck with it, man.
Yeah,
I
really
love
can't.
the original. It is my go-to, like, every Halloween. I'm like, Friday 13th, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, 70s, man, they nailed it.
Every Halloween on Spike TV, it's like that's where you want to
Did
be.
you know that the actor Crosby, when they shot, they shoot him with the arrows?
Yes.
Like, that's how he dies. The fake blood actually temporarily blinded him when they did the arrow through the eye shot
I think I
because
heard
they
about
used
that.
a blood called I think it was photo flow, and what it did was it absorbed really well into material, and that's why they used it because it looked super realistic. But it got into his eye, and it
Jeez, you're
fucked
talking
him
about that
up,
3D
man.
shot, right? The 3D
Yeah, where
like
it's like,
arrow, just
yeah,
messed up.
yeah, he went blind over that one for a little while.
Yeah. But no, Friday the 13th the remake. I hated it because they said he was mentally challenged, but yet he is running. It's as opposed to a slow movement, and he's building these like jigsaw traps underneath the ground with strings and detonators and traps.
Just because you're mentally handicapped in certain areas doesn't mean you thrive in others.
Right. I'm not saying that. I'm
just saying, like, maybe he didn't have the basic skills for certain things, but he was a kind of a
Well, I'm
genius
saying the
when it came
originality
to
of him being
other
slow
stuff.
because he was mentally challenged and deformed and like this like bulk of a man that comes at you slowly, but he's
Okay.
supernatural is cool. This they played off.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's still mentally challenged, but we're gonna make him fast and have an IQ that's stupid high to build traps. And it's like it just kind of loses its like
Okay.
Jason feel almost,
Right.
like to me.
I
It's not
understand.
saying like obviously like mentally handicapped people can't do this or that. It's just saying like
And
in terms of an
again,
aura of Jason.
another killer that doesn't talk, and that plays a big role for me. I think in the scary bit is it like they
You don't know what they're
fucking say
thinking.
anything.
That's the thing. They're looking at you
Right.
at the mask.
Like,
Like you're putting
what's
your
the
words on his
motivation
face.
here? And you can kind of like add your own narrative into your head and make it even fucking scarier. Because, like,
Right.
you're supposed to let your imagination play
Yeah.
and use it against you.
You're like, that's Jason and he hates licorice. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I don't know.
Perfect.
But no, Freddy vs. Jason, I'm curious to see what you think. Because I think we'll have different opinions.
Freddy vs. Jason. Honestly, I didn't. Okay, I guess I didn't see the point in the first place.
Okay.
Because they're both legends. They can't fucking kill each other, which even by the end of the movie, surprise, it's pretty much a draw.
It's a draw, yeah.
So it's kind of like, but what's the point? Like, why did we even do this? I don't know. It felt like they just wanted to make some quick money, to be honest with you. Again, like, they were like, how are we gonna just keep pumping this out? Oh, well, we'll just take 2 of the most legendary killers and slam them into one movie and upset an entire fan base.
I agree and disagree. I agree with the money aspect because again, like immediately following that was Alien vs Predator. Like the like 6 months. Like it was stupid how fast the Versus movies started coming out.
Yeah.
But this is one of my favorite movies of all time. Like I love
I will
this
have
dynamic.
to return to it and watch it again.
Because again,
now.
Friday 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, and then they combine them.
Yeah.
And, like this is New Line Cinema with New Line is it TriStar? I don't know. Shit, that's gonna bug me. But the idea is that, like, after 10 years, you see them together because they couldn't get the rights to do it, and then I don't know. There are weak stuff in it. Like, obviously, like, there's that guy that plays he's like Jay from Jay and Silent Bob in it. You got the chick that in Destiny's Child, like, in there too. It's like there's things, but I like the fun aspect where it's like Freddy goes inside Jason's mind and he learns that he's afraid of water, so he's against him. Jason, the girl pulls Freddy into the real world, and Jason now knows he's afraid of fire because he was burned. So it's like this fire and ice type dance the entire movie.
That's true.
I thought it was fun. Like, whenever I watch it, it's a lot
you
like...
You could have just taken both of them out with some fucking lava.
Yeah, true. But again, this film's a lot like Dream Warriors, where it's a teenage film, where it's like, it's not meant to be true horror. It's not horror at all. It's action. It's a battle royale. Who will place your bets, Freddy or Jason? Like, that's what it is. You're just going there to see two numero unos fight. You're not going there for scares.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's why I didn't really like. I was like,
yeah, it's a WWE match. It's not. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Oh my god! Now, if they added the Undertaker into that shit, I would have been like,
wouldn't that be cool? Like, as they're fighting, all you hear is, ding. You're like,
like, let's fucking go.
Whip your popcorn.
And then have Kane in the background, like, oh shit.
Oh shit.
Oh right. God.
Let's move on to the next franchise. We have, let's see, we did Halloween, Friday the 13th. We did that right now, so we got 2 left.
Okay.
Let's do Scream.
Okay.
With Ghostface, and if Chase is there, he's going to be excited. You lead, because you're more of a fan than of Scream than I am.
Okay. So, I'm a facts person, and I like a good, like, I like to understand where they go with storyline, which is why I love Ghostface so much. So initially, just right off the bat with the design of the mask, won my fucking heart, because they got the inspiration from the Scream, the painting, the famous painting.
The painting?
The painting. So
what?
I was like, oh,
I didn't know this. The Scream painting, like
the Scream, yes. And so, like, originally the movie was going to be called Scary Movie, right? Yeah. Which ended up being the, like, satire, comedy. But they changed that because they were inspired by Michael Jackson and the painting, so it became Scream.
So wait,
there's a
the
lot
Michael
of
Jackson
homage in the entire film that touches on other iconic.
What do you mean by Michael Jackson, though? I missed that part.
The Scream, I'm not entirely sure which song it is, but they were inspired by Michael Jackson. One of the things he did, so I guess I'm not big on Michael Jackson.
It could be there's a music video called Scream he did with Janet Jackson.
That would
where
do
they're, like,
it.
Yelling,
that would probably be that's like literally
Okay.
So yeah, there's they
Chase
touched on that, and then there's also the hi.
I can tell he's on mobile because there's a huge delay.
Janitor monster. The janitor for the school who wears a striped shirt and Freddy's hat, and his name is Fred. Yep. They paid respects. They did. The entire movie, there's little bits here and there spread out. There's so many, like, could honestly be a whole ass episode, because Scream just nailed it. That you had homages to every other movie throughout history, and of course you've got your classic do's and don'ts of surviving a horror movie. And except this time, they know what they're not supposed to do, and yet here they are fucking it up because they don't want to listen to the movie nerd. If they listened to the movie nerd, they would have survived.
Right. I agree.
Always listen to nerds, ladies.
I like how you actually explained it very eloquently the way you first started, where you said, I like my movies to be very, like, descriptive in terms of, like, laid out, because, like, the first scene, it's literally so basic and beautiful. Right. The phone rings.
And that's when you should have learned, chat, who the real killer was in Friday the 13th. Because she starts screaming, Jason, Jason, Jason. Wrong.
Right.
It's mother. Shink.
I'm so happy right now that you told me that fact about the face.
I told you I was going to redeem Ghostface for you. I knew it.
You did. I saw it. I liked it. I always like things that I always considered it the reference movie where, like you said, it's a lot of references to old school horror, but being a horror in itself. Which I'm gonna bring up a film that I hope you see like later on
Okay.
that you've seen. I mean, I don't know. I gotta rewatch it because again, like when I watched it
Yeah.
originally with the mindset, I didn't understand the idea of having. It just felt like immortal,
You
kind of like
gotta keep an eye out for the background things.
okay.
Listen to the music playing too. And since you're pretty
Dun,
good on
dun,
the
dun,
classic horrors,
dun, dun,
you're gonna
dun,
catch
dun.
specific songs that are playing in certain scenes that actually
Okay.
give it away
All
on
right,
who
you're
the fucking
redeeming it for
killer
me.
is.
I'll
But
rewatch
you don't even
Scream.
know. Yes, and they use 50 gallons of blood to make
Right.
that movie.
I
And
lo-
they only had a budget of like 15 million, I think.
That's not a lot at all.
It's really
That's
not.
stupid
It's
low.
really not. And they made a masterpiece with very little, which again I can always appreciate, you
Which
know.
one was with Hayden
Oh
Panettiere?
god, hold on, let me look
She's the
him up
blonde
because
one, and I remember
I'm
guys like
terrible
on the
with names.
porch and he's
Oh,
tied up on a chair.
hold on. Hayden. What's her last name? Hay-
Panettiere. Hi Chase, I can see you, man. I love you.
Does he know? He probably knows because I'm terrible with names. But hold on,
Like the guy's tied up in a
I can
chair, and
tell
he's like,
you.
I forget the
4.
character's name.
That was number
4.
4. Oh wait, and the first one. Wait, what? What? How did she reappear in the fourth one if she was in the first one? Because 10 and 1, the bitch died.
Right. So
I don't know.
Chase said that
Well,
was
that
in
one I don't
chat.
know.
4 is the worst one he's seen. I love that one. That's what I was gonna say. I
Yeah.
liked, but
With
yeah, I
these
gotta
dates.
rewatch. I gotta rewatch the entire franchise. But yeah, that's Scream. I know there's a TV series, but I didn't bother watching that.
It wasn't terrible. It wasn't like I
Well, it's the mask.
like.
I think people have problems with, right? Or that it's just like it's not even. It's just weird. It's like translucent or something.
It's like a series. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Series don't always have the same vibe as a movie
Right.
to me.
Right. True.
Honestly, I kind of like the Fear Street series a little bit more than the Scream series.
If you want to talk about that series, we can do that now too, because I've seen it. Because I'm very interested
Yeah,
in your take on it.
it's been a minute since I watched it, but I could try my best to scrounge up
Well,
the
I
info.
was
I will
surprised
say
you
one of my
brought it.
favorite kills was when they used the bread cutter machine.
Oh, I was
I was like, ha ha ha! I used to
straight
work
through
in
it.
bakery, and let me tell you, some customers, there was a few thoughts where I was like, you
Yeah.
know what?
Yeah, I'll do it. No, I was surprised
This
you
could
brought
be
it
a
up
weapon.
because it's it kind of deals in the aspect that I'm pretty sure you said you didn't like, which is like the whole paganism route.
Well, and that's why
Because
I
it follows
kind
a
of,
witch. Like you haven't seen
it
Marianne,
does,
right? You haven't seen
but
Marianne?
I have not.
Okay, don't watch it.
I feel like okay, so like the first season kind of pissed me off. Not gonna lie.
Okay.
And then you went into the second where it was kind of giving you a little bit more of the background. So you're like, all right. And then the third came out, and then you understand why the witchiness went that path and everything. So I was like, oh, respect.
You
Okay, because
see,
it's not really just witchcraft. They were literally working with darkest, dark motherfucking magic shit to do what they're doing. And in her revenge, I was like, okay, I can get behind this one.
right. So what you just said for me, but in reverse. I didn't like knowing. Because
Oh, you didn't?
no, because
I like nothing.
I like the first one because it's kind of like it's just like kind of like my style with like Insidious, where it's like
It felt
not
very
knowing
90s, which
is
I
right.
appreciated.
You know that's a killer. I don't need to know who the killer, et cetera, et cetera. And then I believe the second one is when they started to touch upon like they'd go to the backstory of a killer, right?
Yeah,
And they'd explain it.
kind of,
And then
kind of, but not,
well,
like,
you
not
saw their
entirely,
origin,
but yeah,
basically, like
yeah,
the
yeah,
mask over the head and things
yeah,
like that.
right.
My problem with that is once I realized they were going to do that, I realized they were going to do that for all the other characters. And since I knew that they were going to do that, I knew I'd have to sit through that. Like I didn't want to.
You know,
I hated
did
knowing.
they though? You
In
know
a
the
way.
little one,
Not
the little one.
Not the little one. The little one was dope. What do you have? Like a hammer?
Why
or a
didn't we
bat?
ever find anything about that? Did we like?
I
Did
don't
I
know.
miss it
I
somehow?
just always
I
call.
swear to God, we didn't learn shit about
I
that
called him
character. He was just a
Sam's
little creepy.
brother.
Right, right.
I thought that was awesome. But yeah,
That's
and
good.
the one season, like I was like, I really don't want to go back in time. And it's like
I liked it. I liked it. I did. I
it
did.
was very good acting. I like that they changed
I
their
love
accents.
the moss, the way they used the moss
The
mold,
red
you know, and
moss was
stuff like
cool.
because I'm a nature nerd. I love being
Right.
in the woods. So like anytime they incorporate something
You're like
happening in the woods,
witch.
I'm like, oh yes, let's
Dig.
fucking go.
Um. Yeah. It was good. It reminded me a lot of like Crimson Peak with
Okay,
what was it? Where it's like it starts off very
I don't
horrific, or
remember a
Devil's
lot.
Backbone, where it's like you think it's
Okay.
horrific, but at the end you learn it's kind of like a love story. Where I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
Well,
There's a
yeah.
reason
Now,
all this
yeah,
is
that
happening.
wasn't strong for me, a strong like end for me either there, because like,
Right.
come
How'd you
on.
feel about the maze? Did you get a little bit like claustrophobic when they're in the like basically the witch's lair and they're all
Oh
running in
my
those
god.
circles and you're like,
Yeah, I don't even know if I'd be able to handle it.
and
Like
the
to
only
be
way to
honest,
get
because like
up
I
is to
am
crawl through that
claustrophobic.
shitter that's up there?
Fuck no! I'd be like, I am not getting poo poo particles. Fuck it, kill me.
Right, right. And then
No.
that's one of my biggie. No, one of my biggest Achilles heels, well, pet peeves of a horror franchise is when things are just there conveniently for the protagonists. Like, I hate that they
Okay.
just happen to find her hand there. Like, they just happen to find things there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, out of everything, like, it just doesn't make
Well,
sense to me. Like, how are you. It just happens to come upon it, as if it's obviously it's
well,
fault of the writers
that
because
was where the red mold, mossy shit was growing
right. But if
from.
you remember, because it's like under the toilet or whatever, it's on the
Yeah.
rock with the red. They don't know at that point that that red moss signifies this
Right.
yet. So it's like, but yet they find that hand there. It's just weird that it works in their favor. That's the only part where it's like
Didn't she have like a book or something? There was like a book. Uh. And
it could be.
that's where she was able to figure
But
out the
what about the
riddle pretty
woods?
much.
What about the woods then, where they originally find her like gravesite? Remember the
The
car
rest of
crash?
her bones.
Right, but remember they were
Wasn't it
driving
by
a car,
accident? Yes, and there was
so
an
they happened to
accident.
accidentally touch upon a witch.
Yeah, it was and she touched the bones, and that's why she started going like. "Ah."
I mean, it's a good it's a good series. I recommend it. It's not. It's definitely not
For
bad or
for
anything
the
like that.
original idea, they did well. Like,
Right.
because everyone's all about just like regurgitating already done things.
Yeah.
So this was nice to have something new.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
But if you want, there's a movie out there called Marianne. It's a French film on
Marianne.
Netflix. It follows a witch,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
really good. Like, I watched it. I'm like, this is
Let me
phenomenal.
write it down so I don't forget, because Lord knows my little
And what's
stoner
cool
brain
is
can't.
it's a witch. Like, it's not
All
like
right.
it's interesting. I guess we can make this a category, but a lot of times with like witches, they tend to dress them up and make them all like, I don't know. They're not witches. A witch to me is the cackle, like Wizard of Oz. Like, that's a witch. To me. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Broomsticks. What?
Oh,
What are you thinking about?
monster.
What did I
Witches
say?
don't have to be the Wicked Witch of the West.
Well, I'm just saying. Like, I like the aesthetic where it's like, I'll say this, and then you'll agree with me on this one. The movie The Witch. You've seen that, right?
Okay. I did kind of.
Where with the goat.
I don't remember shit. I don't remember shit, dude. I'm gonna be honest
Oh.
with you. I don't
I-
know. I gotta.
It's
Sorry.
there's a goat in it, a black goat.
Okay.
Do you remember? Because I don't
No,
want
I
to
mean-
bring this up because it's a very unsettling movie. 'Cause
Oh.
if you haven't seen it, I don't want to ruin it either. If you
Maybe
ever...
I haven't seen it. No, I feel like I've. Doesn't. Okay. Is there a scene where she goes to like the butcher, looking for something, and they're like, "Bitch, we don't have that."
No,
shit,"
it's
and
Anna
then,
Taylor
like,
Joy,
dies.
and there's a goat, and there's like a baby that gets taken away. Basically, it's the origin. I'll say this: it's the origin story. Without this isn't spoiling it. It's the origin story of a witch, and it gets to the point where you're like, oh, that's where the cackle comes from. Like that's where the broom comes from. So it's like a marriage between the two.
I know where the broom comes from.
Okay,
You know,
so
I'm talking real.
But no, that's one. No lie, you know what?
Okay, I'll watch. That's the one that's like VVITH,
Yes.
right?
Watch
Okay.
that first, and if you want to, you can brave Marianne. Marianne's a bit lengthy, but you have to watch The Witch
Okay.
because The Witch, I believe, is
Alright.
the same director as the movie, which I recommend you don't watch because your anxiety will spike like crazy. Hereditary. And
Oh
then,
no, I'm good.
Yeah, and Midsommar, I believe he did. But The Witch
Ooh.
is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Okay,
Um,
I'll check it out.
I legit, I want to talk next week before Stephen King starts. We gonna talk about The Witch because
Okay.
I went to go see it with my father, and at the end, it makes you feel like you want to take
Oh.
a shower. It's so
Ooh.
Like, ooh, like it
Like, let
gets
me
it.
get that energy off of me.
If it ever wants to make you feel like you just like, I don't know, like met Satan, like it's like that type of feel where you're like, this is bad. Like, no,
Okay.
no.
So light some sage before I start this
Yeah,
shit. Got it?
yeah. It doesn't. It's not till the end that you get that like, nope, nope,
Like,
nope,
oh
nope,
fuck.
nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that. Yes. Good. 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 I will
um.
watch it.
Okay. So, before we do that, I saw a movie you recommended, and I actually did a movie review on it on TikTok because I loved it so much, and I
Oh.
was obsessed. It was Let
Yes.
Me In.
Yes.
This
That is
film
a
is
great one.
phenomenal. Like,
Isn't
it's
it though? Oh,
so
so
good.
good.
I was
So good.
I was flabbergasted that I haven't seen it. I was
Well, it didn't get a lot of love. You know, it was one of those underrated ones. It just kind of slipped through the cracks. I don't
because
know if
what
there were
market?
like
It's
other
like,
movies releasing at that time that kind of like took all
but
the
it's like
glory.
I don't think so. I
But
think it's like a Nightmare Before Christmas aspect where it's like, who do you market to?
mm,
It's not kids. It's not adults. It's like it's not a teen movie, but it's not for
right.
and the vampire aspect. Not everybody's going to understand the mythology of light. Letting someone in, like it's very old
Yes,
school, like
and like, how
us.
about that when
The
he was
blood.
like, "Just
Yeah,
why
he's
do
like, why
you
don't you just
want me
come
to be?"
in?
And she's just like, "Lady,"
And you're like,
it's like,
what?
"Oh, so good."
But no, I
Yes,
liked it, and I went back and saw some clips of the original one. And the original one, I
yes.
was like, the cat scene was a little weird. Like, I get cats just don't like
I
vampires.
saw the original first years ago, and
Yeah,
then America decided to do their version, and I'm glad I finally watched that one because I'll be honest, I can't remember very well. I say
yeah.
that
The
this
thing
is
they added with
hanging.
the remake one that I liked is the way she, like, when she's attacking someone, that like grudge move where it's like spastic, like,
Yes,
and I'm like, woo, that
like she
feels
can't
cool,
control it at all. It's all
right?
just
But
her
I need to
internal
pick
monster
your brain
instincts.
about something
Okay.
that I was like, if this is true, I'm going to be very happy. If not, I'm going to feel like an idiot. But it's a pretty good observation.
Okay.
Her supposed, I guess you could say, what's it called when,
Father, but caretaker.
right? What's it called?
Yeah.
What if he's her? What's the word from What We Do in the Shadows? Like, you're training someone to be a vampire. Like, I will change you.
Oh,
Familiar.
kind of like a familiar,
Yeah.
I
Like,
guess.
what if he's her familiar, right? And he's been bringing her bodies, right? Because he wants to be a
Right.
vampire. And
Oh,
she's been doing this since he was a child. But because he's getting so old and he's getting bad at getting, like, blood from the people, as you've seen in the movie, she needs someone new.
and I'm pretty sure that's what the boy next door was supposed to be.
Right. So do you think that's it?
I think
Do you think the kid
it's a little
is
bit more
his new familiar?
simple.
Because she doesn't change him.
Well, yes. Right. She never changes
He's taking
her.
care of her because she's in the
Right.
suitcase at the end on the train. I'm like, what if
Right.
he's the new
He
familiar?
helps her because he loves her. They were, boyfriend and girlfriend. And you can see the little. There's a moment where the kid like picks up these old pictures where they're in a photo booth together, and they're
Right.
both very young, and it looks like they're on a date. And like I think that they were romantic, but he kept aging,
So he,
and so he just took care of her in the way he could. And that's why immediately when she hangs out with the boy in the yard, he's like, I don't want you hanging out with that boy. And I
because he's
think he knew he was
jealous.
getting replaced. Like,
Huh.
yeah.
That's cool.
And
Do
then,
you
of
think
course, he's on his way out, so she sucks him dry.
do you think she's just like a sad vampire? Or do you think there's like an element of like manipulation in there where it's like, this is just what
Um,
she's making, she doesn't really care for either of them.
I do think she cares, but she's also very well aware that there's just no way that you could
Right.
actually have a healthy relationship. So she tries to warn them, like, look, don't like me because it
That
can't
was a
happen.
very good line
But
she
then,
gave.
of course, emotions get carried away. She's having fun with this boy, and like she's still a kid, really. Like she's just an
Right.
old kid. Like, so she probably still, even though she's been around a while, still has emotions like a child. So, like, new boyfriend's
Right.
kind of fun. It's nice to not be alone. He likes puzzles. He's alone. It's kind of perfect,
Right.
but unfortunately,
Because the thing that
it's
hinted
never
me
gonna
at
be
it
a
is, I
thing.
was like, why doesn't she change him?
I don't think she has that ability.
You
I think
think?
she's just a vampire. Like,
I could see that.
otherwise, why wouldn't she have done
Do you know
that
what
to
the
the
best
guy
line of that
before?
entire movie is? It's when
What?
he's like, "How old are you?" And she's like, 12. And he's like, "Oh." And she's like, "Yeah, I've been 12 for a very long time." And I was like, "Oh,
Yes.
like you
Yes.
know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like she doesn't even know. Like she
Yes.
just like I
And
know I'm
she's like
12."
trying to find a way to tell him,
Yeah.
because she likes him, but
How do you bring it up? But
but
that was interesting too. How he's so
that probably would have been a better route than attacking the neighbor right in front of everybody.
Oh yeah, yeah. I like how they
That
made
kind of
him the kid a bit of a what's the word? An introvert because he's like he's
Oh
spying on
yeah.
the neighbor, fondling like his wife, this that. He's pretending to stab a thing because he's getting
He's a
bullied. Like
total
he's very
nerd. Everybody
right.
makes fun of him at
That's the thing.
school,
So I like that
His
Peter Parker
lies to his
effect.
mom about what's going on because he doesn't want her to worry about him.
Right.
Kid has a sad life.
Yeah. It was good. The only issue I had with it is like I think it was at the ice rink where he hits the guy with the pipe and it like splits his
And
ear
it
open.
splits his ear.
A
Mhm.
body's found right when that
And
happens
the
in the
teacher goes
ice.
to the dead body instead of helping the kid that just got knocked the fuck out. Oh my god,
Yes,
dude, I
and
know.
they cut to the next scene, which is there's full like a new conveyor belt there with a truck and everything, and they're lifting the body out or whatever, and the school is still there watching it. Like the teacher didn't take up at the class; they're all watching this dead
That
body, and I was
whole
like,
scene was like, what the fuck?
yeah, that's the only scene I had issue
Yeah,
with, but everything
I
else was
agree with
cool.
you.
All right, the next franchise is I think it's a really fun franchise. It's Child's Play.
Okay.
So what do you? Oh boy, we're gonna get into it.
Well, unfortunately, even though I got a problem with dolls, I don't like dolls.
Okay.
I specifically don't like porcelain dolls, so Chucky didn't really scare me. It was kind of more like comedic to me, even
That's the thing.
when I was
I
younger.
wasn't scared by Chucky at all. I always saw him as comedic. That's the idea where it's like he knows he's comedic at a point where he's like his
Right.
Bride of Chucky, where he's like, oh
And
fuck,
then,
he's like I'm a
yeah,
doll.
and that
I
was
love
it.
it.
Then they brought in Bride of Chucky, and I was like, oh my god.
Right. So the
What are
original
we
Child's
doing
Play
here?
I thought was fun because even if you rewatch
It
it
was
now
fun.
or if it's your first time watching it, you still believe like it could be the kid that's doing the murders
I
because that's the
think
way
Puppet Master did a better job of the creepy factor than the Chucky.
I don't know about that. I'd say they're the same, in my
They're
opinion.
probably about the
I
same.
mean, the
It's just been a hell
leeches
of a
on the
lot longer since
body
I
and
watched it.
the
Yeah.
fat but I like Child's Play. I think it's good.
And I feel like they tried like reliving it with Annabelle, and again, I was just like, all right. So it's kind of cool
Annabelle's
that there's a backstory, with like the cursed object and all that jazz. But I just don't know if I'm willing to like
yeah,
feed into that too much, because the reason I have a problem with dolls is because where it originates from. They started creating dolls to trap souls. That was the whole
right.
point of dolls. It wasn't so your little girl was happy. It
Well,
was,
in Annabelle Creation, they kind of touched upon that when the
yeah.
well, that's what I didn't really like about Annabelle because I like sentient dolls like Talking Tina or the doll from Billy from Dead Silence or like I like sentient
Yeah.
dolls that are like there.
Mm.
Annabelle, it's like they reveal it at the end of Annabelle where it's like it's just a demon holding the doll and you're just like
Right.
that's
And it's like,
creepy, but it's like so you're just
it's
a
not
demon
maybe
holding a
possessed
doll,
now, is
like,
it?
right?
It's
That's the
just,
thing. It's not
uh,
possessed. It's just like it kind of
right.
breaks that fourth wall where it's like, wait, so it's just he's just holding the doll, like
They're like, what can we sell
right?
when we're done with the movie? Oh, I know. We'll just make the movie about a fucking doll, and then we're
Yeah.
gonna sell the doll.
But in terms of Child's Play, I'd say I like the franchise. I like the first one because it could be the boy or it could be Chucky. You don't know until the end. At the end, that's where he gets his voice, where it's like he's obviously like, "You fucking bitch ass!" Like he's like, you're like, "Whoa!" He's kind of like Freddy. Like he's the first killer to ever like have a tone, and it's kind of gangster at it that too.
Word.
But the mother, obviously, it's like it's a cool story. It's like a mother just wants to be able to get a toy for her child who really, 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 really wants this toy, and she's struggling because she's to make ends meet. She gets it, and the doll ends up being not so kind, and then the first movie ends, and sadly enough, the next 6 movies and then into the TV series, Chucky just keeps following Andy. Like that in the new TV series, he's like a 40-year-old adult, same actor too, which is amazing. Same exact actor.
Oh, respect there. That's
right.
Good that they did
40
that.
years old, and he's still chucking. He's still
Could you
stalking
imagine?
his original owner, right? But it's cool
Oh,
too. In the
man.
series, Andy's hunting Chucky.
Oh.
It's pretty cool. But yeah, Child's Play 1 is
when
fun.
the predator becomes the prey.
Oh, right.
I like it.
That was Even though I was a little disappointed by the Halloween remake. Halloween Kills sucks, but the one before that, I forget what it is. Halloween, I don't know, whatever. There's a line in the trailer where Laurie Strode said, "I prayed to God every night that Michael would get out of jail." And then the cop says, "Why would you do that?" And she's like, "So I could kill him." And I was like, "Oh!" And then it cuts to her with the shotgun, like,
Nice.
and I'm like, "Whoa, okay, get it." But yeah, Child's
Hell
Play
yeah.
1, I thought was fantastic. Child's Play 2, that was good. That was with the army base, and he's trying a bit, not a bit racist in terms of these days, where it's like
Oh my
he
god.
knocks over an African American kid. And he's like, Chucky's gonna be a bro, and I was like,
Oh my god.
okay, that's an
No.
interesting approach. Child's Play 3, I think, was the one I didn't enjoy. Child's Play 4 was Bride of Chucky, which I liked. I thought it was fun at the beginning, where the police officer in the detention center takes the bag out that has Chucky in it, like his remains from Child's Play 3. If you
Yeah.
look in the containers, you see Michael Myers' mask, Freddy's glove, implied that this is a supernatural asylum that has the remains of everything, and they're all there too, and you can
Oh.
see them, and you're like, "That's
I'm
awesome."
gonna have to rewatch that then. That's nice. I
Yeah,
didn't
this
catch that.
film is the biggest callback because obviously Tina, what is it? What's her name? Tiffany gets the bag from him, and she becomes a doll or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a moment where they're both in the car, and Chucky puts pins and like needles on the dashboard, and the cop gets in his car and he shuts the thing. And then Chucky starts the car, and he's like, "Why is this car going so fast?" And then he like stops it or whatever, and the pins go in his
Wham!
face, and then he falls over. And Chucky looks at his face, and he's like, "You remind me of a friend of mine." And he's talking about Pinhead,
Oh.
implying that they all exist in the same universe. And I was like,
Very
"That's cool."
I love me some Cenobite.
Then there's a very funny scene in the middle. They have a sex scene together, Chucky and the bride. And she says to him, "Do you have a rubber?" And he's like, "I'm all rubber." And I was like, that's a good line. Are you kidding me?
That's great.
It's very on point. At the end, they end up having, obviously, Glenn slash... This is where it gets weird. I'm not a fan of Seed Chucky, but they end up having a
Yeah.
baby called Glenn slash Glenda because he can't identify with what he is. So he doesn't know if he's a male or a female.
Okay.
So at the end, he becomes like this almost... I think it was a callback to Psycho, where it's like the mother and the kid was like two genders.
Oh.
So he's switching
okay.
between friendly and hateful. But what the
Okay.
funniest part of this movie is, and I always say it to this day, he ends up getting taken in by a circus because he doesn't know Chucky and Tiffany's his father yet, right? And like, behold, the talking doll or whatever. And everybody calls him
The
shit.
talking dolls don't know where. Okay.
I know. Trust me.
Because there's
I'm not a
so
fan of this
many.
either. But everybody in the circus, like his friends and everything, call him Shitface because he looks so ugly.
Please go
Right.
down.
So much so that he's so innocent in his head that he thinks his name is Shitface. Like he doesn't know it's a thing.
Aw.
So finally he meets up with Tiffany and Chucky for the first time. And they're like, wait, they're figuring out that it's a kid. And he's like, well, what's your name? He's like, I'm Shitface. And Chucky looks at him and he laughs so fucking hard. It's the funniest moment. He's like, you're Shitface. Like he just loves that name. And he's like, his name's Shitface. And Tiffany's like, stop it. And it's cool because it's like a family arguing almost.
Kinda, yeah.
After that, it was the TV series, which again, it follows Andy kind of like he's hunting down Chucky and other Chuckies that he possesses. It's very weird because Chucky learns how to like
There's
possess
more?
multiple dolls.
No.
And at that point, kind of lost me. And they kind of push the gay agenda a bit strong in this movie, but this is like...
Yeah. There's a
this
lot of
is-
that now.
Yeah, like I said, this is at the age where it's like Beauty and the Beast. You're like, let's make LeFou gay for, the gay community, give this that extra
Like, it's
dollar
cool,
amount.
obviously, but
Yeah,
like at the same time,
No,
I
we
don't
know
want
what
it
we're
to
saying
take away
in
from the
terms of...
storyline.
They made they made Bert and Ernie gay. And you know why? It's because PBS
No, it
is
makes
failing.
sense, yeah.
Sesame Street is failing. They need a new community. It's the wrong way to go about it.
Didn't they make Cookie Monster vegan or something too? Like now
Yeah.
he doesn't eat cookies.
Yep, no longer Cookie Monster. But there's a moment in the series where I wanted to turn it off, but I'm such like a completionist when it comes to certain
Gotta
series.
finish it.
There was a line where Chucky says like, "Get the fuck off me," and he pushes like this kid back. And then the kid who's dating that kid holds him against the neck, and he's like, "Don't ever talk to my gay best friend like that, and he hits Chucky, and I was like, come on, like
Why do you have to
it's
like
weird
label
that it's
it
so
like that? Just
singled
like don't
out.
hit my
It's
best
like
friend.
right, that's
Like
the thing. No, that was the thing. He said,
don't fuck with my
don't
homie.
hit my boyfriend like that, and he hits him, and then they both like run off into the sunset, and I'm like, bullshit. I was like, are you kidding me? But it's cool because Chucky helps you break that fourth wall at times too, because he still
Okay,
uses
yeah.
terminology where it's like, I'm not gonna
Well,
say
and
it,
that's
but
one
it
of the
helps
things
it.
I did like about Fear Street, because obviously, like the main lead in the first one is a, they're a couple. So
Right.
like, but it's a natural element to the storyline. It's not kind of like thrown in there.
Mm.
Like obviously, the entire time she's trying to save her fucking
Well, that's
girlfriend from this
exactly.
shit.
They did it correctly.
Like it worked
It's
so
paced
good.
as a
Like
relationship.
right,
It's like
it
I
made it
always
more natural. Like yeah, it
right.
makes
I
more
always say like
sense that way.
my biggest example is Underworld. When Underworld was released, there was not. It wasn't pushing any type of woman agenda. No guy was necessary. Well, they were, but at the time when you watch it, you're watching a movie. You're not watching like this sexualized Kate Beckinsale. You're watching a vampire do badass stuff. The problem is
Yeah.
the same with the gay agenda when it comes to movies. They're pushing it too hard because that's all we're noticing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to make it part of the
honestly,
story.
I feel like it just comes down to bad writing. Like it shouldn't feel like an
Yeah.
added effect for the clout. It should
Right.
feel natural. You should be more invested into the characters emotionally and understanding like their
Right.
relationship.
Well, like I was
instead
watching
of
the
just
remake
like,
of
surprise.
Maleficent, and at the end, it's like the prince
Ugh.
goes to kiss her, he kisses her, nothing happens. Then Maleficent comes in and kisses her, and I'm like, huh? I was like, it's interesting writing. That's an interesting twist you guys are throwing in there. But, all right, so we were done with the franchises.
Right.
What is your? Oh, this is the fun part, right? What is your top 3 slasher killers?
Oh, just killers? I thought we were going movies, but I mean,
The
I guess we
underrated
could just
movies
go
after that.
well, Sam
Okay,
from Trick or Treat.
that's a really good one. It's
I
a
like
really good
him.
one. Talk about a good, like the deity of Halloween. It's never been done in any medium
Never was done.
except for like maybe no. I was gonna say the Chernobog from Fantasia, but it's like no. You've never seen anyone utilize it's a deity of Halloween.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's so cool. It's like you can't say like
And,
the Easter Bunny is the
I
deity
was
of this because he's
interested to find
real.
out. He's considered a peeping Tom, which I guess kind of makes sense because the only
How?
way he's knowing who's breaking the rules is by watching them. But like, I never really put that
I wouldn't
together.
agree with that. He's everywhere. I think that's the idea. He's everywhere.
Right?
Because when
Thank
he kills,
you. 'Cause I was like, why are we calling him?
yeah,
the
when he
peeping
kills
Tom?
the
I don't
guy
like
at
that.
the end, and no, he doesn't kill him. He goes to kill him, but he doesn't because he learned his lesson. He just
gave him candy.
disappears. Right? He disappears. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's the idea. He could be
fixed
here.
it.
Right. He could be with you right now. He could be with me. It's not that he's watching you like Michael Myers. He's just everywhere. He is the spirit of Halloween.
Of
and his
Halloween.
Right. It's
Yes.
so good.
Yes.
So
And
good.
his name is Sam because Sam Hyde.
Right.
Like,
Right. It's good.
and so there's a few fun facts about that movie. Do you want to know?
I want to know.
Since you are a big fan of Underworld,
I am
you
a
know who
massive
designed the werewolves? The same creators of the Lycan from Underworld. Boom. Yep.
The werewolf. That is awesome.
As if you notice, because what was
You're
so
right.
great about
You're
Underworld,
right.
you could see like the growth of we covered that where it looks so cool because you could see it like kicking in. You could see the same shit in Trick or Treat. You
That's
watch it grow
awesome.
and like conform. Oh, so good.
That was
Yeah.
such a good scene too.
So good.
They were
oh my
playing.
gosh, she's so hot.
The whole movie is so okay. Let's just talk about the movie real quick because by the time we get to the Halloween episode, it'll be Halloween, so people will hopefully
know.
forget this part. But
I'm sure we can find more
the
goodies on the
intricate
subject by then.
storylines, the fact that like when they start off, they're like, "Oh, she's a virgin," so your perspective of her is like, "Oh, she's a virgin," but in terms of werewolves, I mean, like, it's so
Right.
good.
You
like,
don't really know how she's a virgin. You're just assuming sexually. Oh,
right. My favorite
and
moment.
she's dressed as Red Riding Hood, bro.
Right. Right.
Perfect.
It's so good. I'm getting way too giddy. We do got to save it for
I
Halloween.
know.
But my favorite part in the entire movie is when it's very simplistic, but it speaks so well, like, to horror because it's childish, but it's an adult tone at the same time. It's when the little girl that carves pumpkins is kind of like a misfit, and she has the witch hat. She's the witch.
Uh-huh.
and she's walking after her friend's been murdered or something like that, and then
Oh
she just
yeah.
has that moment where Sam and her just look at each other,
They
and then they
just make eye
continue.
contact.
And I always felt that meant the
Like
world to everyone.
respect. Like,
Right,
because she's not about to try to defend those assholes. Like,
right.
the whole time she was trying to get them to do the right fucking thing, and they were just playing a huge prank on her. Rude motherfuckers. And actually, did you know the special ed students that get their revenge on them was actually played by special ed students?
Really,
Yes, like
that's
how much respect
interesting.
there. Love it. And they had a blast doing it. So it's not like anyone was like,
I could
upset or anything
imagine.
afterward. But yeah, how about that where you actually give the role to people that couldn't do it better?
I hate this because I want to watch it so bad, but I also want to save it for Halloween because that's when I usually watch it. The fact that they do practical effects too, it's like it's so good.
And this just how they did the whole storyline and incorporate that like graphic novel feel, and the timeline is just
It's like
all
a
over.
comic book, yeah.
And it's like keep up, dude, because
The
we're covering
only thing
so
I did
much.
not like in this film, and it's not even dark humor, it's like black humor. It's
Oh
when the principal has it's a principal. Yeah, the principal, William H. Macy, is that him? No, it's not William H.
yeah,
Macy, the other guy.
the child killer.
It's when
Yes,
it's when he has the child
Mr.
in the grave
Wilkins.
with the bag on his head and he's hitting him. And I was like, that was a bit too dark
Dude,
for me. Like I was like, this is
it got hella dark. Okay, how
right.
about the kid? Like, don't forget to help me with the eyes, and it's the fucking kid's head, dude.
Yeah, that part, that part. It's like I could remove that part for me.
And like, oh,
That's
he's
me.
so
That's a little
creepy,
bit
dude.
too. That's a bit too dark for me.
But it does help not feeling bad for that bitch when the
It
werewolves
does,
have
but
their
there's
way with them.
ways to convey it. It's a lot like when the first episode when we talked about rape,
I
where
think
it's like you
that's
don't
where.
have to do
Well,
it.
yeah.
You
Well,
don't
to be
have to.
fair, you're not watching him cut off the head. It's
I know,
just you
but
see
you
him
are
hitting the
seeing him
bag.
with his boot on the neck of a garbage bag that you know an adolescent kid is in, and he's wailing on him. It's like that
That kid
part is
was
like,
a shithead.
yeah, I get it. It's just, ugh.
But yeah,
Who's your last one? Who's
actually,
your last one?
I feel like that his character was actually also a homage to another movie, but I can't
If
pull
it
it up
is,
right now.
then I'm
We'll
okay
cover
with it.
that at
But
another.
yeah, we'll
But I
save it for
believe so.
Halloween.
I believe he was inspired by somebody else
Yeah,
at some
we'll
point.
save Halloween for
Almost
Sam.
all of them are. Yeah. Okay.
Last one.
Well, we already covered Ghostface.
But
Back to
Ghostface
that.
is one of your favorites.
But the entire motherfucking family of the House of Thousand Corpses, but of course.
Okay, I can see that.
I love them.
It's a fun
Captain
movie.
Spaulding, of
Like,
course,
it's
is my
tough.
numero uno.
Yeah,
But gotta give respect to Dr. Satan.
yeah, he's just that guy. It's cool too because he's kind of the nobody of the family. Where he's like,
You
you
don't
want to
see
see
him or anything.
Dr.
He's
Satan?
just a
Okay, let's show
legend
you
you
Dr.
hear
Satan.
about.
Yeah, it's weird to say it's a fun movie because it is so extremely dark. Like it is probably one of the darkest, gruesome. Like but for some reason it works.
Inspired a lot by Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I
So
could
it's
see
dark as
that
fuck.
based on what I've heard about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, about the effed up family that's just like there, but they're their own individuals. That's the thing that makes House of a Thousand Corpses. They're doing their own things in their head.
Yes.
Like
An
she wants to
entire
be
family of serial killers? Never.
right. There's a guy that wants to be a clown. There's the woman that wants to be the actress. There's the guy that's basically, I guess you could say, like an basically a Trump supporter. I'd say. Well, you know what I mean. He's very anti.
No,
like,
we did not just
yeah,
go
we did.
there.
Very like anti. I don't know. He's very anti. Like he's very political. I'll say that. It's like they're all their own thing, and Dr. Satan.
Oh, okay,
is,
so he is an extremist.
yeah, he's an
Let's say that. He's
extremist.
an
I'll say that.
extremist.
And then Dr. Satan's just like that guy that likes the grandpa that likes to build things.
He's an extremist that's also a struggling artist, though.
Right.
Because if you remember, he was all blocked up. He couldn't work, and the cheerleaders just didn't cut it out for him. But when the guy with the glasses, and he's like, he brought me so much inspiration.
Yeah.
Finally, and then it pans on to hitting Merman.
True.
So good.
Oh yeah, Dwight Schrute. Dwight Schrute.
But
He was young in that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, he was.
It's a really good
Yeah.
series.
I love it.
All right, so I got mine. We've already talked about the first one, which is Freddy Krueger. Like, I love him to death. Obviously, he's everywhere here now.
Yes.
The next one, which is this movie gets to me on different levels, and it means a lot to me. Candyman.
I knew you were going to say
Yeah,
that. I was ready for it, which is why I didn't even put it on my list because I knew you had it.
the OG Candyman. It
Oh, good.
works in so many ways. Like it works as a slasher if you want it to, but it also works on a level of diversity where it's basically about this guy who's completely innocent, 100% innocent, just starts dating a rich man's daughter who happens to be Caucasian.
Yep.
And because of that, they burn him, take off his hands, put a hook in it, and put bees
Yep.
on him. And the guy basically, for some reason, they don't really explain it, ends up going to hell. Like he's just condemned to hell. So he goes to hell. And people are, the way I portray it is he's comfortable in hell almost. Like you can see it with the writing on the wall and the way he speaks, where it's like
Yeah.
there's no torture for him. It's almost like it's his home. But the
Right.
problem is people keep saying his name 3 times and they bring him out of hell. And in doing so, it's kind of like
Pissing him off. Just leave me alone,
it's
man.
aggravating him because it's like
Yeah.
there's this comic book of Swamp Thing where somebody puts like goes into hell and they put like this rose in front of a person that's in hell. And they're like, "This is what you're missing," and the guy just starts wailing because he's never seen such like beauty. Like it's been so long. So it's that dynamic for me where people are calling him out, and he gets so like
Yeah.
amped up that he kills that person. That's the idea. But he gets called out, and he sees somebody that resembles his love, and it's like it's so like I want to
Yes.
cry, but even though it's a horror film, it's like it speaks so many notes because he's
Well,
like, "I
yeah.
want you with me for eternity." Like
Right.
he like I
Right.
want you, and it's like it's one of those things where it's like, is he a villain? Yes and no. It's like because he is killing, but at the same time, it's like he was condemned for something he didn't do,
It's a
which is
tragic love story.
right.
Like,
It's a lot like the charity I support, Project Innocence, where people are condemned to jail for things they didn't do, and it's about getting them out. The problem with Candyman is he never got out.
no.
He's there for eternity, and
Condemned
finally he has
forever.
a chance to bring somebody that he once loved, supposedly the reincarnation of, into hell with him and be his partner
Right.
in hell, and he can actually be happy in hell, ironically. And
Right.
it's a bit selfish of him, but at the same time, you look
Yeah.
at it through the perspective where it's like he kind of deserves it. Like you know what I'm saying? Like he just he just wants it. Like it's interesting, but I've
Well, the
always
thing is, like, if it wasn't like the reincarnation, I would 100% support the idea. Go to hell with him, bitch. What are you doing? Like, if you love him, you'd be willing to go to hell with him too, right?
right,
But it's a reincarnation, so it's not really her. And he's
right,
just like, hey, man,
yeah. So
give up
I think
this
it's
shit and roll with it.
at the end of the day, it's a fault of the humans. Where it's like if you didn't say his name,
Yeah.
it's like nothing. Like it's just
Well, and
curiosity
it's
killed
like
the
it
cat.
lacks that justice because, like, it's the other motherfuckers that should have went to hell. It's bullshit,
Right.
you know.
It's
Like,
messed up. Like, and it doesn't even make sense. I wish they explained it at the same time where it's like, I don't understand why his character would go to hell. Why would you?
why is he being further punished for the
Right.
evil
And
actions
it's
of
like,
others?
it's always
Right.
been a question I've wanted to ask where it's like the creator, where it's like,
Maybe we
why
should
was
try.
he?
Is he still alive?
Right. I'm going to try. I'm going to
Like,
try to
hey,
look up
man.
and be like, why'd you send him to hell? Like, why? What did he do that was so
Like,
wrong? Like, maybe it's
I'm
the,
not
I don't
trying to
know.
like call you out or anything, man, but are
Yeah.
you crazy?
So he's up there. And the next one I'm about to say is the one that I hope you've seen this movie because it is
Oh, dear,
such
me
an
too.
homage to every horror movie out there, and it's really fun.
Okay,
It's called The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
I don't think I have. Sorry.
No, you need to watch this.
Okay.
Screw Marianne, The Witch, and The Rise of Leslie Vernon. So, what Leslie Vernon is, and this is why he's my top third slasher of all time. And you're gonna love this. Like you're gonna gush what I'm about to say. Because
Okay.
when I saw it, I was ecstatic. Every horror fan's dream. So it takes place. It follows a news reporter, an up and coming news reporter who's a female, with two
Okay.
people who are cameraman and sound guy, right? So it's shot
Yeah,
like
yeah.
very like
Real time.
real time, like hey, we'll work on this, and then they cut away, but they're still recording, so it's documentary style, right?
Oh, so it's kind of like Cloverfield.
Right. And her
Okay.
opening speech that she says over the walkie is, we all know the events that happened on Elm Street, Crystal Lake, so they exist in the
Oh.
world where all these characters exist together.
Okay.
And they say there's this boy out there who supposedly, and she doesn't believe any of it. That's the thing. Like, people don't believe in
That's
Elm
not
Street,
good.
right? Elm Street, Crystal Lake, etc., etc. They don't believe in any of it because it didn't happen to them, which is the way we'd actually react. So,
Right.
like with Amityville Horror, it's like people are just like, yeah, it might have happened, it might not have. I don't care. I'm gonna go to work. It's like that's their mindset right now. So she's
Well,
like,
a lot
there's
of
this.
people that watch the Texas Chainsaw Massacre have no idea that it really fucking happened. And
Really?
if I'm correct, the grandparents of the victims were still alive when those fucking movies were coming out.
It's really sad.
It is. It
Really
is.
sad. So they're like, there's this. She's like, there's this up and coming killer. Like, it's kind of like a. She's just like, she's kind of mocking it in a way. She's this up and coming killer called Leslie Vernon that's in this area that supposedly wants to be a serial killer. So we're gonna document him because it's gonna be her first like mini project that she's gonna get. So she meets this killer, right? And it's just a normal guy, and he's the funniest guy. He's like Jim Carrey almost. Like, he's making jokes to them and he's having fun. And he's like, she's like, well, you want to be the next killer? And she's like, yeah. Well, how do Jason and Michael do it? Like, how does Jason, go from standing completely still to being ahead of you here? And then what's ingenious about this movie is he breaks down how the killer kills in slasher form. So I'll just spoil.
Oh man. Okay, I do
like,
definitely have to see this. Are you saying this is a purchase-worthy movie?
Yes.
Because I have a feeling I'm gonna have to buy this one. Okay.
Yes.
I'll do it.
So like, this was only in the trailer. I don't think it's in the movie, so I'll say it. But he's like, "Oh, Jason, yeah, you're talking about the big guy, right? The one of the thing." She's like, "Yeah, him." He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, okay, do this for me. I'm gonna be behind you, just walking slowly, right? And I want you to run as fast as you can. And like, you can look back like whenever you want." And she's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, no matter what, I'm gonna catch you." And she's like, "Okay." So she's standing there. He's standing there. She starts running. She looks back. He's still standing there. She looks back like 5 seconds later. He's like 8 feet away from her at this point. And she turns around. She's like, "How'd you do that?" And then he's like, "Oh, I'll show you." And then they rewind like the tape and they're showing her. Literally, what it is he's standing there like this. She looks back. As soon as she starts to turn her head, he starts jolting it as fast as he can towards her. And then he starts walking slower, like as she turns around. So it creates the illusion that he's teleporting. So he breaks down almost every horror genre that way. So when you watch horror movies now, you'll be like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And you get cameos from Robert Englund, who is his psychiatrist that's chasing him. Kane Hodder.
Okay.
The chick from Poltergeist, the deity woman that connects to the spirits, all reference the girls that jump rope Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's so good because they even like his. I'm not gonna spoil anymore, but it's good because it goes into the horror genre and it gets to the point where they start to realize like, oh wait, things might be real, and that's what as a horror fan you're like.
I was kind of hoping you were gonna say when he said, "No matter what, I'm gonna get you." I was hoping that's when he killed her.
Right? No, but it's.
Oh, I'll show you.
So good. Like I whenever I watch it, there's a moment in it after you see it that I always get welled up because it's one of those speeches where it's like a bit like it's just so poetic the way it's done. Not like I don't give this film any attribute because obviously there's the scene in it I don't like, but Devil's Rejects. Where he's with when the guy's with one of the victims, I think outside of amusement park or somewhere, like chasing him out of the hotel. She's like, "Why do you do what you do?" And he's like, I'm evil. Like it's what I like."
Are you talking about when they're going to dig up the guns?
Yeah,
and it's the two guys that they're beating the shit out of.
Yep.
And he's like,
and he's just like, "This is what I do.
Like,
I'm
fuck
evil."
Fuck you! And he's like, "Fuck you! You guys always say the same thing. Fuck you!"
Yeah. Sherry Moon Zombie.
And he said, "I am the devil, and I am here to do."
Right, it's the ownership that's so ethereal. Like I don't agree with it at all, but it's just that clarity of what evil is. There's a speech he gives in it.
But if you're told you're evil, like
you are,
and everything you do is evil, you become evil incarnate, right? You just kind of after a while you start to rock it. You're like,
but
you know what?
The reason
yeah,
why you like
devil.
this is he knows the difference between good and evil. So there's a moment.
So he has a conscience,
right? There's a moment where there's a sense of closure, and as a horror fan, hearing it. It's like hearing something you'd want to hear Ghostface, Freddy say to you, where you're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it doesn't put in. It's just the way it's done.
Ooh,
and
I'm
you're
so
like,
excited! I want to watch this.
So, lastly, before we end, what is your most underrated slasher movie?
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah.
It doesn't get a lot of love. A lot of people think it's stupid, but it's like, you like Chucky? You should like the shit too.
True.
Because, like, come on. Okay, so think about it. they broke the rule right off the bat. They picked up a hitchhiker. All right, you don't do that. And so that just kind of like they still broke the classic rules, except this time you're not dealing with one serial killer. You got the whole fucking family you got to look out for.
Right.
And come on, when they're running through the field, and it's run, rabbit, run, and like the whole point of the movie is they're trying to find the tree to find Dr. Satan's grave. And then they run into the family. So then the whole movie is focused on them trying to get away from this fucking psychotic family. And then where do you end up? Right in the tomb with fucking Dr. Satan.
Now,
and
I
just
have a
wrapped
question
it up
about
so
it
perfect.
that I've always wondered. Do you think the rabbit, the tree, and the fact that you're basically going down Dante's Inferno this entire film, do you think it's all Alice in Wonderland?
A very dark and twisted Alice in Wonderland.
Right?
I do. I think
always
that's
saw
probably
Dr.
why
Satan
I love
as
it
the
so much.
queen, like the queen of heart, like everybody's something,
Oh,
right?
So good.
Like I started looking at the characters when I was watching the Disney one, and I was like, I feel like every character she meets, it's an Alice in Wonderland character. Like I was thinking
and then they
about
have the dinner, and that's kind of like the tea party, and they all have to wear the masks.
Right, and the way they bicker, like the I think it's like Sherry Moon and someone else when they're talking, I'm like, that reminds me a lot of like the Walrus and the Carpenter in the Disney Alice in Wonderland, where it's like they're arguing over food and like this, and like the chicken is supposed to be the clams, and like I don't know, it's like a huge thing where I started thinking about it. My most underrated one, again, I hope you've seen it. Hatchet.
Hatchet. Okay, I'm fairly certain I did, but it's been a minute.
Victor Crowley.
I'm sorry.
He's in Louisiana, the swamps. You get a cameo from Tony Todd, who played Candyman.
Okay. Yeah, that's familiar as fuck.
It's a very, 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 very gory movie. But it's worth a watch because it's an the director created it as an homage to the slashers. And it sticks to the creed of like the group of kids, et cetera, but it's done so well. And the new slasher killer, Victor Crowley, is just like a beast, and he's fantastic. That one you can save for later. The two you have to look at, no matter what, is Rise of Leslie Vernon and The Witch.
So I kind of like, I'll be honest with you, I almost put Sweeney Todd as the most underrated one, but I wasn't sure because it's technically a musical, which is why I feel like so many people are turned off by it.
It's a slasher.
But it is certainly a slasher, and it's beautifully done, and my favorite scene throughout all of it is when he throws that bitch in the furnace.
Oh my gosh. Did you not get jarred by that when you first saw it, though?
And then wham!
That threw me, dude, I went into almost, I think it was like mini shock when I saw that scene when I was watching it, because I thought it was good. I was okay with gore, but out of nowhere, when he whips her and he does that scream like, ah, it's like burning it, like, oh, dude, like it threw me off.
Take that, bitch. Because the whole point he went off the like rocker was because she told him that his wife died.
Right.
Like, oh,
no, I like that movie. The only part I didn't like is...
And then she manipulates him the whole time to creating the perfect monster. So it's only appropriate that she's the one he sets ablaze.
Right. I enjoyed it. There were things I had hiccups. I don't know if I remember the songs that much, but I remember. No, you know what the issue was? It was the rape again, because I remember they raped the wife and then she was killed. I'm like, why'd you have to rape her?
Yeah.
Like it was weird. It's PG-13, I believe, isn't it?
No way. Is it? No.
No, it's
it
gotta
can't
be R. No, you're right. I just remembered a couple scenes. I'm like, well, we're eating those pies.
Because like, I guess my favorite thing about like it was the whole like how they got away with it for so long. They were brilliant, like with the whole like
ingenious. Yeah, you just hit the button
and like
next.
Come get a shave, shink,
Who
and
wants
then
a pie?
we'll make a profit making meat pie.
Yeah.
Like, and then you literally feed these motherfuckers to the community. It's insane.
It is interesting. Yeah. Well, that's
it's so dark. I love it.
That's all we got for this week.
Yeah.
I'll message you the next lineup, but we're doing Stephen King next week, which I'm very excited for. We'll cover all of it. All of it.
Yeah.
All of Stephen King.
All of it. How the fuck are we going to do that?
I don't know. I'll write an outline for like this week, like I did with the franchises, like the most popular. And I'll come up with something interesting. But yeah, until next week, guys, I am Monster. And this is Mama Talks.
I was like, there's a pause, so should I do it?
And we'll see you next week when we get into all things Stephen King.